Hello guys, how are we doing? It is a ridiculously hot day. I think it's something like 26, 27 outside. I am dressed up in what looks like a bra, but I can tell you is the best. And today, I'm going to try not to crash at the same time, but today I'm going to do a little video review on life driving an RCZ. So this one, by the way, if you don't know, is a 2011 pre-facelift HDI GT. And I'm going to run through with you what it's like to really own one. So I guess the main question you'd ask about one of these cars is, why would you buy one? They're a bit of an interesting one in the coupe market. They kind of sit in a weird position. So most coupes of this kind are normally 2 seats, whereas this is 4. Dare I say, the seats that you can probably see behind me aren't really fit for anyone that's got legs or a head. So they're kind of there as a kind of more of a storage space or for an exceptional circumstance. But also a lot of cars in this category are either 4-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, so it's quite rare to have a coupe based on a hatchback platform, which obviously means it's front-wheel drive. So this, to be fair, I think this car is really cool. I think it's very different, and I would say, in my opinion, it will pretty much benefit anyone that doesn't have any friends or needs doesn't have any friends in mind, but doesn't need any doesn't need to transport people around. Basically, the boot is more than big enough for day-to-day activities. The boot, in fact, is pretty massive. I've got all my tools, all my cleaning stuff in there, and it's absolutely excellent. I can't fault it whatsoever. Really cannot fault it at all. Yeah, so I would say, in all fairness, this car is a very comfortable daily drive. I'm obviously driving a diesel one, so I can't really comment on the petrols, although I've had the petrol derivatives in other Peugeot cars, so, but yeah, it's really damn impressive. So guys, I'm just going to list some reasons why you would buy one, because there's quite a few. So for starters, the RCZ, if you didn't know, is a only model made by Peugeot. I don't think they're going to ever, as far as I'm aware, remake one. So in relation to value for money, right now, the RCZs are probably at one of the lowest points they've been, obviously, because they've hit 10 years, most of them now. But you'll find that the value of them is going to stay. And it isn't going to drop. You're never going to see these cars, you know, on a used market. Never going to see these cars on the used market for cheap whatsoever. Never at all, because they've got that exclusivity and that rarity factor that other Peugeot models don't have. So you'll find that if you were to buy one, it may well depreciate over the few years, but you'll find that as time progresses, you should never really lose the value of what you paid for it, because these definitely aren't depreciating any less than where they are now. So mine's a pre-facelift. Mine is a 2011. So the values for mine sit between about 3 and 6, depending on many different variables. But what I know of mine is that no matter what I do with it one day, even with mine being a high miler, and also a Cat C, that it will always keep the value that I paid for it. I'm never going to ever lose out in that sense. So it's definitely worth buying one as an investment, especially an R, because the Rs will one day be, I can guarantee, will one day be a future classic, as will probably all the range, to be fair. But obviously the Rs and the 200 GTs, the lesser made models, will be obviously will appreciate better. Ready? Yeah, so this one's modded. It should be, I need to have it tested, but it should be sitting around about 200 brakes, so it's a really nice kind of middle point in the range. Obviously the diesel comes out of the factory in 2 variants. Pre-facelift is 163 brake, and the facelift comes with 165 brake, and it's a slightly revised map with a bit more torque as well. I think it's about 20 newton-meters more torque. So relatively the same performance output, but with a couple of mods, i.e. exhaust, intake, intercooler. Oh, that's really damn bumpy. And a remap. You're looking at somewhere around 200. You can quite simply stick a map on it, even with a DPF and everything stock. and you'll only be about 10 horsepower or so less than that anyway. So the intercooler's on there more for looking after the engine, because my one's got a lot of miles, keeping them intake temperatures cold, which it does do. A top tip, especially if you're going to buy an RCZ, especially if you're going to buy a THP petrol where the turbo is mounted on the front of the car, they get exceptionally hot, and I mean stupidly hot. So it's really worth, for one of your first mods, investing in a decent intercooler. On the diesel anyway, on my diesel, I'm normally 2 degrees below ambient temperature, which is absolutely excellent. I'd like to drive. Now unfortunately I can't comment on the entire range, because obviously I haven't driven the entire range. I've got the diesel, which is probably going to be probably the least best driving in a sense, because of the weight of it. So the diesels are about 100 kilos heavier, so you're always going to have that slight disadvantage over the petrol turbo variants. But I will say with my one, as an example of an RCZ, mine is sat on AP coilovers, which I had handmade in Germany, and it drives incredibly. So I used to drive a 207 GTI. I've had quite a few 207s, and I thought they were quite stiff and well planted, but really Peugeot have worked really hard with this RCZ to completely revolutionise the stiffness of the body and the shell, because it does handle exceptionally well. I actually find that when I've been driving around with others in other as capable cars, some hatchbacks, Fiestas and stuff like that, people have actually found that the RCZs handle better, or they struggle to keep up with the RCZ in the corners. So I can't tell you how amazing it is to drive. I mean, goodness knows how the RCZR would handle with the LSD as well. It must be absolutely mental. Now, for any normal person, even with a stock suspension setup, the ride is quite firm. I wouldn't say that it's massively uncomfortable, but you do definitely feel the bumps versus a conventional vehicle, you know, a conventional sedan or a conventional commuter vehicle. You do definitely feel it a lot more. God, you've got to look at this bus. Yeah, so you definitely feel it a lot more. The thing I found that did improve comfort a bit as well as handling is the stock tyres that are fitted to the RCZ are a 235 profile on a 40, so they're quite thin on the 19s. I don't know about the 18s, but on the 19s anyway. I would highly recommend to jump up to a 45 profile tyre, which is what I've got on mine, and it's definitely made the ride a little less punchy, although now I've got coilovers, it's not really made a difference, because as you can imagine it's definitely a lot harder. I've actually found that the coilovers, believe it or not, this sounds mental, the coilovers have actually made the car more comfortable for average use. Obviously you do notice bumps a lot harder, but for average use I actually find it's not as pitchy. It gives you the right level of comfort as well as handling. I just can't describe really how it's different to stock, but it is in a really good way, although stock's very, very good anyway. But don't be afraid to get coilovers on these, because at least the AP ones I've had have been really nice and hasn't affected. I was buying them thinking, oh my goodness me, the handling's going to be like really good, it's going to be really uncomfortable, but it's not. It really maintains its composure, definitely. So obviously my RCZ is mapped, it isn't stock, so I can't confirm what you'd be getting on a stock motor. And when I bought mine it was in quite bad condition engine wise, so I was running pretty badly anyway, so I can't really comment on the stock fuel efficiency of the diesel. I'm sure it's very good, but I'll tell you what I am getting. So I'm getting 45 miles per gallon with average driving. That's a little bit of hooning, a little bit of comfortable driving. On the motorway I'm seeing figures of up to 60 miles per gallon, and so far on a tank I managed to do over 600 miles, which probably isn't the best, but we'll also say this diesel motor, now it's got the exhaust on it and is mapped up, it does sound really good. It sounds like a petrol. It sounds crazy like a petrol. I'm going to give you a bit of a go now. It sounds really, really cool. Really, really cool. So if you're looking at choosing between a petrol and a diesel, economy-wise, the diesel's always going to be better without a doubt. Reliability-wise as well, the RCZ vastly outweighs the petrol quite a lot. So I've had this diesel now since March, and it's been mint. It really has. It's ran like a beast. All temperatures, all weathers. It's ran amazingly well, and I can't fault it at all. Really, I really can't. Yeah, the torque is absolutely immense. It's really good for overtaking. You'll find on kind of straight roads, long roads, as you would with any car diesel, you lose steam quite quickly, but for overtakes and for something that involves a sudden burst of power and speed, it's really good. It's really good, and I can keep up with, or I found I can keep up with cars with around about 200 brake, petrol cars, so it's not exactly a slouch. It's not bad at all. It's not a racing car. I wouldn't buy this one, you know, to go around tracks and stuff with, but you could. It'd be cheap. But it's not a race car, but it's a really good, comfortable all-rounder, and I can highly recommend it. So another pro is the Exclusivity. Apart from me, and obviously a few others owning them, they're quite a rarity, especially, well, on the roads, but also in the car scene as well. And it's that exclusivity that makes them unique. So they're not only unique in shape, but they're unique in character. Although the RCZ and the 308 share very similar parts, the RCZ is always going to be that little bit different versus other cars. And no matter wherever you go, you're always going to turn heads. And that's one of the best things about it, really. It's quite an underrated car. It's quite a heavily hated on or disregarded brand, Peugeot as a whole. But this car really changes people's minds on it, and it's great to be bringing this car along to the car scene and showing people that Peugeots can be cool. They definitely can be. So the boot, which I'll show you in a video later, is freaking massive. I don't know the exact literage, but it's really big. You've got the ability again to push down the back seats, or what are the back seats, the back bench, to create even more space. It's so smooth to drive this thing, it really is. So yeah, you can turn those very unpractical seats in the back into a storage area, and to be honest, pretty much with everything I've carried, even long items, I've carried an item of almost 2 meters in the car with the back seats down. It works, it really does. It's really not that unpractical at all. So to be in the cockpit is a nice experience. It's pleasant. So these seats that you can see in here, these are pretty much stock through the entire range of RCZs. There are a couple of different variants, so different styling of material, obviously, and they do a version called a Sport, which is a lesser model along the Peugeot range of RCZs. It's like a base model called the Sport, and that comes with cloth seats that aren't electric. But you'll pretty much see these electric heated leather seats across the entire range, and to be honest, they're really damn comfy. They really are. I'm very impressed. They're really nice indeed. They hold you really well. You've got a little bit of lumbar adjustment on here to help hold you in a bit more, depending on what size you are. It sounds good. For a diesel, it really does. I keep getting sidetracked here by the car, but these seats are amazing, guys. I will say the seats in they're not electric, but they are incredible looking bucket seats. I would love a set in this, but you're never going to find them. Obviously they're exceptionally rare, but the seats are amazing. They're really nice. You pretty much got any adjustment you want, and I find for me, who's on about 5'7", 5'8" kind of size, that I'm okay. I'm okay for headroom. I'm not too bad. I would say if you're probably about 6 foot or more, you might struggle. And the problem with that is you might want to adjust the seat into a position where you're not hitting the roof, the ceiling as such. But the problem you get with that is you're going to end up being in a really horrible seating position. So if you're anything over 6 foot, you might find this car a little bit unpractical to sit in on a daily basis. So bearing in mind this seat is on the lowest setting for me, and I'm 5'8", you can see that I've only got about a hand or so's width. So There's not too much space, guys, just be aware of that. But yeah, you can't see the interior right now. I'll do a quick overshoot of it again. Mine comes with the sat-nav pack, which I absolutely love. It's a nice, modern looking sat-nav, but it's a fairly old system, fairly dated, but it works. It's alright. It's a bit of a hard one to use. I just tend to use Google Maps because mine isn't even adjusted properly. Mine hasn't been updated, I don't think, since the car came out, so the maps are quite old, need updating, but it's a relatively quickish system to use. It's quite responsive, but trying to find a location is a ball ache because you have to input it all manually, and it's just quite a slow process, really. So in regards to the sat nav, it's there, it's good, but it requires a little bit of time before you drive to get it set up and working. I love that Peugeot is included, again you can't see, but in the centre of the display between the dials there is a directional display option with the sat nav, which basically shows you how far you are away from each junction and turning and etc. It's just really, really nice thing to have in front of your face rather than having to align your eyes over to the sat nav in the centre of the dash. So together combined they work really well, and it's just a really nice touch to have in the car. All of the dials are really, really nicely laid out. I think they've got a premium looking set of dials. Considering the cost of the car when new, Peugeot have really tried hard to make it look as good as possible.
370 yards. Speed limit is 30 miles per hour.
The clock, again, that you'll see is a beautiful little touch as well, and generally it's a really nice place to be. It really is. Yeah, so one thing Peugeot and the kind of French cars are renowned for are cheap interiors, rattly, noisy cabins, but I can honestly tell you with this one, having come from a Lexus IS200, which again was, for what it is quite a well-built, strong contender, strong car for interior sound and comfort, this is not too bad at all. Compared to the 207s I own, it A, feels much better put together, and B, there's really not much road noise. It's, you know, you can be going 70, you don't realise it. Whereas even with the Lexus, although it was a petrol of course, you're going to hear it, as well as the GTI and the other 207s I had, you know you're going 70, whereas this, you just don't even notice it at all. And that's with performance as well. With the diesel motor, you don't realise you're there. It's quite a swift motor. It's one of those ones where it doesn't sound like you're going fast, but when you look down you are, so it's one of them ones really. It's a really interesting vehicle to drive. So yeah, all round guys, as a daily car to drive, it's really damn comfortable. It really is. Just trying to remember where my mate's house is now. Second time I've been here. So here is the exterior, guys, of my 2011 HDI GT. Please don't judge the condition of the cleanliness, because it is not very clean. As you can see, mine's not stock, but regardless whether it's stock or modded, they're a really nice looking car. So we're not going to run through mods in this video because it's just about the ICZ as general. So this one is a GT, so it comes with, shouldn't be as crusty as mine are, but mine do need replacing. It comes with 340mm front discs. GT also, as mentioned, comes with the fully electric heated leather seats in different colours depending on what option was chosen at factory. It also comes with front parking sensors. All RCZ models have rears, but only the GT variants and other special models have front parking sensors. One's got the optional headlight upgrade with the washers and the multi-adjust Xeons, which adjust with the steering wheel input. Stock come with a wider stock halogen lamp. All of the RCZ GTs, as far as I'm aware, come with 19s out of the factory, and the sports come with 18s. But you'll find the majority of the Peugeot range of alloys are all 19s. These obviously aren't original Peugeot alloys, but it gives you an idea of what they look like size-wise. Here's the spoiler button, which lets you manually override it to whatever height you choose, or have it running automatically from whatever speed you're going. So guys, there's two types of people you're going to come across in the life of an RCZ. The first one is, oh, alright bruv, is that an Audi? Oh bruv, that looks like a TT. So yeah, you're going to get the badge snobs that for some reason think that the RCZ looks like a TT, which to be honest, it does, but dare I say, better than some of the TT variants at the time. So yeah, you're going to deal with that comment. So the second type of people you get, especially with a modified one like mine, is you get the ones that are like, oi bruv, yeah, that's a sick whip. Is it a petrol? Oh, is it a petrol? It sounds like a petrol, mate. It sounds sick. And I have to explain to them that it's a diesel, and then they look at me in shock as if this thing couldn't be a diesel with the way it sounds. So that's the two people that I come across on a day-to-day basis. And this is what I was expecting to get owning the RCZ. Oh, but it's French. Oh, you like cheese and baguettes. Oh, do you want to cut my hair? But actually, do you know what? I get a lot more respect with the RCZ than hate. And that's just because of the fact that as much as people can hate on the badge, they always stand there and say how good it looks, because it really is a beautiful car. And no one can really fault that, whether you're a badge snob or not. So that's the thing about it. It's been good to see the respect and the awareness it's brought to the car scene, because people obviously, you know, don't really rate Peugeots as such. It just goes to show that Peugeot do make some cool cars. They're not all as bad as people say. Another thing I think is standard for all the models are fully electric heated mirrors. The active spoiler. So some people look at it and see and say that it's a bit of a fad, but I can truly tell you right now that that spoiler makes one hell of a difference to the downforce and the handling of the car at high speeds. With the spoiler down, you can notice that the rear end is a hell of a lot more twitchy at higher speeds, and when you try and take corners as well, you'll find the back end has a tendency to try and slip out behind you, almost like kind of snap off oversteer. So this spoiler does work massively well in reducing that, because the handling is a hell lot better when you have it up. Peugeot has kindly given the driver plenty of cubby spaces, so you've got one in here with actually this really nice armrest, which when in this position, when you're driving with obviously with the handbrake down, is immensely comfortable in the arm. I can't tell you how comfortable it is. And then you've got plenty of cubby holes, big cubby holes in the doors as well. So plenty of storage, guys, plenty of storage. I just love the interior and how it matches with the, you know, the stitch leather around the top of the dash. Comes all the way around onto the door cards as well. This one obviously came from factory with almost like a grey leather. I know there's a white variant and a few other variants. The most common obviously would be black. I think it sets the car off really nice. It's just different. And what I found is with these seats as well is it keeps them not too hot when you're in the sun. I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to sit down on a black leather one of these on a hot day. These are actually not too bad to sit on at all when hot. As mentioned earlier, which I almost forgot, the hidden boot button that I could never find for goodness knows how long. There we have one massive boot. So it's full of stuff, as you can see, but the boot goes right back to where the back of the seats are. This is the handle for the back of the seats, which I'm going to pull. Like that. Plenty of space, guys. Absolutely loads of space. If I push this forward. Oh, there we go. Didn't really go, but I'll show you what it looks like. Trolley in the back of here, guys. So this then pulls down like this, look. Not flat because the trolley's in the way, but you can then see that you can open out the boot space all the way to the back of these seats when this comes down. This wasn't in the way, obviously. There, guys, pretty spacious indeed. So visibility all round isn't actually as good as other cars in the class. These side roof bars do really get in the way, but it's not the worst. We definitely have got quite a bad blind spot from this rear quarter here, and obviously with the roof design being quite low anyway and the windows being quite small on the back, it doesn't make for being as good as what you would find on other comparable cars of the time. The jacking points on these cars are well renowned for bending like French cheese, where the car originates from. So be careful for those jacking points, guys, because they are not good to jack up on. I tend to use the chassis of the car kind of directly underneath here towards the centre of the car. Then on the rear I'll come round to the back and lift the back up from underneath the beam. They have two, basically underneath where the springs sit on each side of the rear corner of the car. You jack up below there is where I find it's best to lift the car off the ground. So guys, this is 5 things I dislike about the RCZ. First one is styling. So obviously this is post stock exhaust. So this is my twin 4-inch twin single out exhaust. So stock, which I hate, which all manufacturers are kind of doing now anyway, is they put a set of fake exhaust tips on the end of the exhaust. So I can't show how they look, but like, it's just not cool. Like, what were Peugeot thinking? Just put a proper exhaust there. So that is definitely one of the things I hate. I think that ruins the look of the stock RCZ. Just get something out the back. Yep. I think I've crushed something underneath my seat, to be fair. Yep, still going. Okay. And then when you actually open it, there's still like no space to get in there and move objects in there. Like, that's as far as it goes. It's just rubbish. 3, the wind visors do nothing. Look at the size of them. Pathetic. Well, A, the handbrake looks weird, and B, it gets in the way of the armrest when it's in a relaxed position, so it's just, when it's down it's alright, but it's just annoying when you stop and start traffic. The other annoying thing is that on hot days these creak like crazy when they open and close, but there is probably a way to fix it, I expect.